The rain had started just before dawn, soft and persistent, washing the sleepy town in silver-gray light. The streets were slick, and the sound of raindrops tapping against windows made most people want to stay inside. But for Daniel, a delivery driver with a tired van and an even more tired spirit, this was just another workday. He rubbed his hands together as he climbed into the driver's seat, the heater barely working, the radio static-filled. The rain hit the windshield in steady rhythms, and for a moment, he just sat there, staring at the steering wheel. His rent was overdue, his phone bill unpaid, and his mother's medication running low. It felt like the world had been knocking on his door with problems he didn't have the strength to answer. His first stop of the day was at the edge of town, a small house with peeling paint and a garden that had long been swallowed by weeds. He grabbed the small brown parcel from the passenger seat, checked the name, Mrs. Alden, and stepped into the drizzle. When he knocked, it took a while before the door creaked open. A woman in her 70s appeared, her silver hair tied loosely, her eyes sharp but kind. "Good morning, ma'am." "Got a delivery for you," Daniel said, forcing a polite smile. She blinked, then smiled faintly. "Oh, wonderful. I wasn't expecting anything." He handed her the package. It was light, barely weighing anything. As she held it, she frowned a little. "Would you mind setting it inside for me? My knees aren't what they used to be." "Of course," Daniel said, stepping in. The house smelled faintly of lavender and something warm, maybe tea. It was quiet, except for a small clock ticking somewhere. "You'll have to excuse the mess," she said, though there wasn't much mess at all, just a few scattered papers and a chair by the window. "My son used to help around, but he moved to the city. Busy man now." Daniel nodded, placing the package on a small table. Before he could leave, she said softly, "You look tired, young man. Have you eaten anything today?" He hesitated. No, ma'am. I just got started." She smiled, a slow, genuine curve of the lips that reached her eyes. "Wait a moment." He started to protest, but she had already shuffled to the kitchen. Within minutes, she returned with a small plate of toast and scrambled eggs, and a cup of tea that smelled like cinnamon and honey. "I can't take this," he began. "Nonsense," she interrupted gently. "You remind me of my son when he was your age. Always running, never resting. Eat. It's not charity, it's kindness." Her words hit something inside him. He hadn't heard kindness described like that in a long time. He sat down awkwardly and ate. The food was simple, but it tasted like comfort. When he finished, she handed him a small piece of paper. "If you ever need someone to talk to or a warm meal, you come here, all right?" He nodded, touched but unsure what to say. "Thank you, Mrs. Alden." As he drove away, the rain seemed a little lighter, the day a little less gray. Hours passed, and the city moved in its usual rhythm, honking cars, rushing people, flashing signs. Daniel's deliveries took him from one side of town to the other, but Mrs. Alden's kindness lingered in his mind. He thought about how something as small as a meal could change the weight of an entire day. By the time his last delivery came, the rain had stopped, replaced by the soft gold of evening. The address was in a quiet part of town, a neighborhood still recovering from old storms, both literal and otherwise. The house he stopped at was small, paint fading, porch light flickering. He checked the name, L. Turner, and stepped out with a medium-sized box. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again, louder. Still nothing. But just as he turned to leave, he heard a faint sound from inside, a cough, followed by footsteps. The door opened just enough for him to see a woman's tired face. She looked to be in her 30s, with dark hair pulled back and eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. Behind her, Daniel caught a glimpse of a small child sitting on the floor, surrounded by coloring books and crayons. "Delivery for Miss Turner," he said softly. She nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you. Can you just leave it there?" He placed it on the doorstep, but before stepping back, he noticed something. The child's cough echoed through the quiet house, deep and rough. He recognized that sound. His mother's lungs had made the same noise when she couldn't afford her inhaler. The woman must have seen his expression because she sighed, embarrassed. "It's just a cold. We'll be fine." Daniel hesitated. Something in him said to walk away. It wasn't his business. But another part, the part still warmed by Mrs. Alden's tea, said otherwise. "Look," he said carefully, "there's a clinic a few blocks from here. They sometimes give out free checkups for kids. I can write down the address if you want." She blinked, surprised. "You do that?" He shrugged, pulling a pen from his pocket. "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. She took the note with shaking hands, eyes glossy. "Thank you," she whispered. "It's been hard. My husband left last year, and things just," she trailed off, her voice cracking. Daniel didn't know what to say. Words always felt too small in moments like this. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded $20 bill, his last for the week, meant for gas. He placed it on the parcel. "Get her something warm to eat," he said quietly. Her eyes widened. "I can't take this." He smiled faintly. "It's not charity, it's kindness." The same words Mrs. Alden had said that morning. They felt right. She covered her mouth, trying not to cry. "You have no idea what this means." He nodded once and walked back to his van, his chest tight but full. That night, when he finally got home, exhaustion settled over him like a heavy blanket. His tiny apartment was dim, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound. He sat down at the table and pulled out his phone. There was a message waiting, an unknown number. He opened it cautiously. "Hi, this is Mrs. Alden. The package you delivered today wasn't mine, it must have been a mix-up. But I opened it by mistake, and inside was a letter addressed to you." Daniel frowned. That couldn't be right. He hadn't received anything. But then another message came through, a picture of a handwritten note. It read, "To the kind driver who helped deliver these care packages for our neighborhood's volunteer program, thank you for being part of something that brings hope to others. You may not know it, but every delivery you make carries kindness forward." Daniel sat back, stunned. The box he'd brought Mrs. Alden that morning had been part of a local outreach project, one meant to connect volunteers to people in need. He hadn't realized he was part of it. Mrs. Alden sent another message, "Looks like kindness knocked on the wrong door this morning." But maybe it was the right one after all. He couldn't help but laugh quietly. It felt like something bigger than coincidence. The next morning, he returned to Mrs. Alden's house to collect the package, but when he arrived, she waved him off. "Keep it," she said with a smile. "The letter said you're part of the team now. Besides, I think you could use a warm scarf more than I could." The box contained simple things, a knitted scarf, a small thermos, a note of encouragement from a local schoolchild. But to Daniel, it felt like the universe had finally handed him something other than bills and burdens. Over the next few weeks, Daniel kept delivering packages, but now he did so with new eyes. He started volunteering with the same group that ran the care packages, helping distribute food and small essentials to those struggling. He saw faces light up, hands tremble with gratitude, children smile shyly. Every time kindness knocked, he made sure it didn't leave unanswered. And then one late afternoon, while handing out meals at a small community center, he saw a familiar face, the woman from the faded house, Ms. Turner. She was there with her daughter, who was laughing as she helped hand out juice boxes to other kids. When their eyes met, she smiled. "The clinic helped her," she said softly. "They treated her for bronchitis. She's okay now." Daniel felt something catch in his throat. "That's good," he managed. She looked at him with quiet warmth. "And we're here now, helping out. Because someone showed us what kindness looks like." That night, as Daniel drove home, the sky opened again, the rain falling just like it had on that first morning. But this time, it didn't feel heavy. It felt cleansing, like the world was washing itself of yesterday's tiredness. He thought about how kindness had found him twice, once in a cup of tea and again in a grateful smile. Both moments had changed him, not because they were grand, but because they reminded him that the world was still capable of warmth, even in the coldest corners. When he parked his van and stepped outside, he noticed a small envelope stuck under the wiper blade. Inside was a simple note. "Thank you for delivering hope. Keep going." No name, no address. Just those words. Daniel stood there for a long moment, the rain soaking through his jacket, the note trembling in his hand. Then he smiled. Maybe kindness wasn't something that knocked once and left. Maybe it kept coming back, again and again, until you finally opened the door wide enough to let it stay. And that night, as the lights of the city flickered through the rain, Daniel knew one thing for certain: kindness had knocked twice, and this time, he had answered.